The WHS Crusade for Children this past weekend, the final total, I believe, was over $5.6 million this year that they have raised for the special needs kids in Kentucky and southern Indiana. And this was the 65th annual. Over those 65 years, I believe they're up now to over $180 million bucks. So that is, and it's still the biggest of its type in the country fundraising effort like this. And I mean, and I love watching the telethon every year because, by the way, our old OVW fire department, the McMahon Fire Department, was the #1 fire department out of course, every fire department within 100 miles, large and small, participate. But McMahon was biggest because they got, I believe it was like a $60-something thousand bequest from somebody this year. But they ended up, I think, raising over $150,000 themselves. But they give TV time also to the two little black kids that's like 7 years old that raised $74 at their lemonade stand in the West End. And then they'll bring in this major corporation that has some way or another donated six figures, and everybody gets their time. So it's fucking great. But the highlight for me, and I caught this, I didn't watch the whole 24 hours, so I caught this, and it was, I popped. Randy Atcher, and that name will mean nothing to you, but for all the listeners in Louisville, all three of them, Randy Atcher actually came back to Louisville and played on this year's Crusade. Randy Atcher in the 1940s and 50s was a employee of WHAS Radio and Television when it was owned by the Bingham family, and that they also owned the Courier-Journal that my father worked for. And Randy Atcher not only was a station personnel, but also he was a musician, a country musician, and he not only hosted for like 20 years Hayloft Hoedown, which was the highest rated local program in town, where they had a country music show from the studios of Channel 11. And they were actually good. They had some great fucking talent in those days. But also he hosted T-Bar V Ranch in the mornings, every morning at 9 o'clock for like 20 years on Channel 11. Every kid in Louisville grew up watching this fucking show. With Randy's cohort was Cactus Tom Brooks, Imagine Festus on Gunsmoke, but as a rodeo clown. And he was the brother, by the way, of Foster Brooks, noted comedian who everybody who watched the Dean Martin roast will remember. You know who Foster Brooks was, by the way, Brian. You go that deep.
A fantastic alcoholic, yes.
There you go. Anyway. And T-Bar, so Randy Atcher played with one of the old guys that used to be on T-Bar V and Hayloft Hoedown, and of course, and Randy's son was a musician, and he came up from Florida for the deal. And they did like a half an hour concert. And the reason why I'm raving over this is because not only is Randy Atcher the first TV personality that I actually remember in life, and was for like millions of other kids around here, but he's got to be 95 years old. And he's tall, and he still has the silver hair and the long sideburns. If Jock Ewing on Dallas was a better looking man and tall and distinguished, he'd look like Randy Atcher. And he had more energy than half the people on the show. And he does the whole thing. And they played Ghost Riders in the Sky on the acoustic guitar. And he's got to be, somebody in Louisville has to tell me how old Randy Atcher is. But if he's less than 90, I will. Well, maybe I'm not. He might be 89, and then I'd be kissing somebody's ass on Broadway. But I'll be surprised if he's less than 90 years old. But the T-Bar V Ranch, where I was going with this, was the first TV show I was ever on. But I wasn't actually on the show being interviewed, because the thing is, they had a studio audience of local kids. And they would bring the kids on in between the cartoons and Cactus's, comedy routine and whatever. And they'd interview the kids. They're like 5 or 6 or whatever. And I think I was probably 4 or 5. I was sitting on the bleachers, but I refused. Because my dad knew everybody. He worked for the company, right? He said, well, do you want to go up and do an interview? And I said, no. And I sat on the end of the bleachers. So in one crowd shot going to a bumper, they shot me in passing. But the first TV show I was ever on, I refused the opportunity to cut a promo.
So we have some interesting news here. I just found some information about Randy Atcher.
Oh, I should have known you there in fucking the wilds of suburban New Jersey or wherever the fuck you're at would be able to find this.
Randy Atcher was born December 7th, 1918.
Oh my God, what? No, what? Is he 100?
Now, wait a minute. Atcher receded from fame after his show was canceled, but remained a popular entertainer in Louisville, and he died in 2002.
Well, that's not correct. That is, I just saw him.
It says he died October 9th, 2002. I mean, it has the same bio here. It talks about Foster Brooks.
Was this an old tape? I saw you fucking asshole. Are you one? The highlight of my weekend, they ran a tape on the telethon. It wasn't live.
They ran a tape from before HD, obviously in 2002.
I hadn't seen him in fucking years. I didn't even know he was sick. Fuck yeah, all right. Oh, God. Now you know everybody's going to think we set that up. You motherfucker.
No, you did not. I didn't know you were going to go there. And when you said
serious, I am seriously telling you, I thought, my God, I haven't seen Randy Atcher in 20 years. I didn't know he was still alive. My God, he's got to be 95, and he looks great. It was a tape from fucking 20 years ago.
Yeah, and he would have turned 100 this year.
God damn it, poor Randy. I would have sent a card or flowers or something had I known.
Maybe that's why they aired it, to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth.
Well, I was doing Cornette's collectibles orders, and I did have a bit of a puny tummy Sunday afternoon for reasons unknown. So I was back and forth to the bathroom a bit. So I guess they didn't run a goddamn graphic previously recorded. I thought he was there in the fucking studio. All right, motherfucker, what happened to Cactus Tom Brooks? Well, we'll save that for another show. But you've ruined my God, the one really happy, nice, nostalgic thing that happened to me. I was almost thinking about driving down there to the fucking Channel 11 studios to shake hands with Randy Atcher after all these years, see if he remembered me.
Oh, that would have been the end. When the newspaper articles got out that Jim Cornette showed up to shake the hands of the dead entertainer 20 years ago.
A fucking tape, you motherfucker. You couldn't have let me just go on. All right. I've got things written down here. All right, we're going to talk about the live events.
But he remained a popular entertainer in Louisville.
Yes, he did. And I thought he'd moved away to Florida with his son, Mark. Now you tell me he's been dead for 20 years.